Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about my last update for the Hexblast Mind Saboteur. At this point, we're level 97. We've done all the bosses we wanted. Some of them we even did on 5 Link without Sandstorm, stuff like that. But we did upgrade quite a bit because my new farming strat is, I think, pretty damn strong. But we're going to talk about that another day. In general, we've unlocked all my favorite slots. We got all the washstones. So in the end, I decided against going life stacking. That was mostly because I got absurdly unlucky, let's just call it, with Essence of Hysterias on my helmet that I wanted to craft. I wanted to craft an 8-link helmet that can go life stacking, and at some point I was just like, you know what? I don't usually put that much money into my Leaguestarters anyways. We're just gonna stick with the normal version, and that's what I did, and it was smooth as butter. So if I was to go life stacker, I would probably go with something similar to what Captain Lance is doing right now, whereas a lot of other people are stacking it only to like 7 to 8k, which would be optimal if you only care about damage. He goes a lot further. He also goes left side of the tree. I would definitely check out his video. I'll link it down in the description. That being said, the first thing I did was bought a Sandstorm Visage. They have been going down constantly over time. I don't know what they're currently at, but when I bought it, it was 7.3 divines. Let's see real quickly. Yeah, currently it's like 4.4 divines and dropping, right? These are getting farmed left and right. Now, I've heard some weird takes from people who apparently are not really doing their POBs correctly or something, that Sandstorm Visage is only like 25% more damage or something. You need a wand that has base critical strike chance, and this will more than double your damage. So Sandstorm Visage at 4 divines or 5 divines is 100% worth it. It's the first thing I would get. It's way more important than even getting your 6-link. The second one is a 6-link cloak. Now, if you cannot afford a 6-link cloak, I would say at this point, right, a 6-link rare body armor costs like 5-6 chaos, so get that. Throw a Shrieking Essence of Greed on, so you get a life roll, a little bit of resistance, put a crafted mod on. That's probably better than even a 5-link cloak. Just try to get back to Cloak of Flame soon, but at the moment it's pretty expensive because obviously it's a unique, so you have to spam either Orb of Fusings or Tainted Orb of Fusings. But with current prices, what I would do is save up for either a percentage damage Cloak of Flame, which is the worst of the ones I'm just calling out. I did not have the currency for a +2 or a +1 gems. +2 gems is GG, very expensive though. +1 gems is a little bit less expensive, but also very strong. And percentage damage is basically the poor man's Cloak of Flame corruption. So you can do that, and then you go for Tainted Orb of Fusings. If you don't know how they work, I'll link a video down in the description where I talk about that. So those were the first two I upgraded. Then I also got Awakened gems. Now, big correction here, which I actually completely forgot about, is Awakened added chaos damage is actually quite a lot better than Trap and Mind damage. The reason I forgot about the support gem completely is that at first I wanted to go Covenant, but then I realized this build is too squishy with Covenant, so I removed Covenant and didn't ever think about added chaos again. But it is a better support, so you would need 5 off colors, right, on a different chest. On Cloak of Flame, it's very, very easy to color. So Awakened Void Manipulation and Awakened Added Chaos Damage both give you +1 at level 5. Now, I went way too late for these, so I had to level them myself. But if you want to play for a few days anyways, and you're going to level them up over like a week or whatever, fine. If you're doing simulacrums, then fine. You're going to get there really quickly. Otherwise, I would say it's probably worth already buying at level 5. These two make a huge difference. The other upgrades were like, yeah, okay, I got my exposure on gloves, boohoo, very hard to get. I got Infernal Legion into the build. This was also something I realized later is once you get Enlighten, you can actually fit in Infernal Legion on your Skitterbots. Now, what does that do? So, Awakened Void Manipulation makes it so you deal no elemental damage. Your Hexblast can ignite, right? But if the ignite deals 0 damage, it gets instantly removed, so you do not get any benefits from your Ascendancy right here from Explosive Expert. So you basically lose 40 crit multi. Now, I only have a level 3 Enlighten, but it was still enough for me to put in Infernal Legion. This basically increases the reservation of your Skitterbots a little bit. And if you see around my Skitterbots, there's like this fiery aura, which means they basically ignite everything around them. Actually, they burn everything around them. Technically different. Now then, a very important one I want to talk about is Maralene's Fallacy right here. This is my amulet, and a lot of people are confused. Why is this good? You get 40% less critical strike chance. So basically, how this amulet works without boring you to death with math, the higher your base crit chance, the better Maralene's Fallacy gets, because the easier it is to offset the downside with increased critical strike chance. You don't have to understand it, but the gist of it is, if you're starved on critical strike multiplier, you don't have a way to get call anywhere else, this amulet is insane. Since our spell has 11 base crit, you can get even higher if you have a better wand. This amulet is honestly just insane. So while people right now are paying absurd amounts of money for this amulet right here, which gives +3 to all Hexblast gems, I can just tell you straight up, on my POB right now, Maraline's Fallacy is more damage. So if you don't know, this new amulet basically gives +3 to a certain skill, and if you roll it for Hexblast, it gives +3 to Hexblast. It also has res, it also has reservation efficiency, so it's not a really fair comparison. If you wanted to make it a fair comparison, Sovereignty, which I usually need to anoint, I do not need to anoint here, so we're just going to go for average hit. So for example, if I wanted to get the most damage possible, here you see, even with a damage anoint, it still falls short of this 5 Chaos Amulet. Does that mean this amulet is not going to be better in endgame? No. I think this amulet is probably still going to be GG in endgame. The reason why Maraline's is so strong on my build, and I see this on a lot of other people's builds, is because it makes up for a lot of the crit multi that I don't have on my jewels. My jewels are ridiculously bad, right? You need mind throwing speed and life on almost every jewel. So also getting crit multi on top will cost you like 3 divine per jewel, 4 divine per jewel. And at that point, if you fix your crit multi with jewels, yes, at some point this amulet will take over. But my point is, this amulet is 28 divines right now. You have 100 different things you should be investing to before you go for this. Maraline's Fallacy is incredible once you have a Sandstorm Visage and you have a wand with, let's say, at least 11% base crit. Absolutely incredible. Now, then, a better Curse on Hit Ring, pretty important, because honestly, at the start, we all had this Curse on Hit Ring that was just really goofy. It had like nothing on it, right? Just Curse on Hit, crafted life mod maybe, and that's about it. At some point, you want some res on it, maybe some maximum mana on it, and then you can also leverage your resistance elsewhere. You can remove that resist that you fixed with your jewels for maybe a damage mod or something. I also went for double medium cluster. This is mostly because I just got a lot of levels. So this really depends on what level you are. But one thing because of Maraline's I also did is I removed Heartseeker and this cluster right here. And I also removed the crit multi here because now I have more than enough crit multi for another medium cluster. The medium clusters I use have Guerrilla Tactics and Careful Handling. Careful Handling, life, mana, which helps your reservation, mind damage, really nice. And Guerrilla Tactics has a lot of throwing speed, movement speed. It's just such a strong notable right here. I have that ×2. If you want to min-max, for example, I actually need this 3 strength here. You can like kind of play around, get a little bit of res, right? If you're missing like 3 strength here, 2 cold res there, right? That is pretty cool as well. Now, another thing you might be wondering, because I have 27 mines in my POB, this is not a mistake. The way you can pre-throw 27 mines is with Divergent Minefield. Basically, you're giving up 10% throwing speed from the normal one for the quality of Divergent Minefield, which gives you 4 additional remote mines placed at a time. Very strong, but you also have to back it up with your reservation, otherwise stick with the normal one. Now, as for tattoos at the end, the one big upgrade you can get, I bought this for 3 divines, is Honor Tattoo of the Wise. You can turn this int node into a +1 intelligence skill gems, which obviously gives you +1 to Hexblast. Then there's also these like loyalty tattoos, which you can only have 1 on. I personally went for Ahuana. So what this one does, you can actually see these in your character sheet right here. What this one does is it prevents another 10% of suppressed spell damage. So usually that's 50%. With this one up, it's 60%. This is up against bosses when they hit me, right? So it's like very niche, but it costed me 1 point. So I was like, it is quite noticeable. Let's put it that way. Now, I have a little bit more life here. I need to fix some spell suppression, so that's what I got here for a total of 8%. Do you have anything else? Yeah, just the 2% life up here. Now, you can also fix, like, I guess, Chaos Res here, but in general, I wouldn't really stress about tattoos too much. They're nice to min-max though. But that's about where I want to be with my League starters. If you want to go further, I guess a few small things. For example, you can get a Balance of Terra to remove your totem setup. So the way this works is there's this mod on Balance of Terra. If you've cast Despair in the past 10 seconds, you now get Wither on every hit, which is insane. It's completely ridiculous. It's way more immediate than having to wait for the totems, especially on a mine build, which pre-throws and would like the stacks immediately, right? So it's incredible. You just have to cast Despair every 10 seconds or so. So you have it up. In this case, you don't cast Despair or anything. You can think about it as like a cooldown skill. This is a global effect. Otherwise, you can obviously craft a +2 wand, which would be GG. As you can see right here, I have like mana, which is okay. But yeah, I have fire damage, which does nothing. If instead of those 2 mods, I had +2, I would do another 25% more damage. Another thing you can get is get a +1 curse Maralenes, so get an additional curse that way. That way you theoretically remove all of these 5 points and go for more damage. Maybe you could even fit in another large cluster jewel, which would be incredible. You would lose the 30% AoE, I guess, but overall I think this would be an incredible upgrade. Then you should definitely get better jewels than I have. So currently most of my jewels look like this: life, throw speed, and then nothing or just trash, right? Like I don't even need this res at this point. So it's like, yeah, getting those jewels will be extremely hard. That will be something for another day. You're probably going to pay like 5 divine per. You can also go for Grand Spectrums if you really want to. I didn't really feel the need to. Also, Endurance charges if you're going Grand Spectrum route. Endurance charges are actually not that good if you have Fizz conversion, because that takes away from the physical damage reduced from Endurance charges, but it's still nice to have. But yeah, that concludes the League Start here. Once again, if you want to go further, Captain Lance is probably going to put a lot more currency than me into this build. We're currently farming for doing something else. There's a lot of cool stuff to try out. I hope you had a Hexblast with this build, and since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.